I just want to invest in people that really want to be the best that they can be.
Hello, everyone. It's Todd Scrima and Mom Boss Robyn LaVassaur and the GOAT Jimmie Reed. So we work for Summit Funding. We've all been professional coaches for a long time, and we decided to do some podcasts. And this one is for branch managers. So, or I guess you could say anyone in a leadership position in the mortgage industry is all these topics fit. So today's topic is clear is kind. Clear is kind. I'll start us out with something that happened to me yesterday. The idea here is that we're we're recording this in May of 2022. Yeah. So rates just went up almost 3% in 4 months. So there's a lot of people freaking out. National mortgage volume is going to be off. It'll be half of last year. Half. Okay. So it's one of those times in the mortgage business, similar to the meltdown or 94 or those kind of markets where it's harsh, right? And so to me, when things change and things get tougher, all it really does is allow you to see where your holes are. So yesterday, I have this loan that got denied, well, suspended, I should say. It was a DU approved VA loan with a 65 ratio. And at Summit, we followed DU. And the branch manager escalated it, and it got solved 3 hours later and got approved. So I went to the leadership team and I said, here's the customer service test that I've used for years. And it's just 3 questions that you ask yourself about how to run customer service. So it just says, what am I doing that's going to treat the client with the utmost respect? Number 2, what am I doing that's in the best long-term interest of the company? And number 3, what can I do to give the client plus 1% service? So I went to the manager and said, look, we denied a loan we shouldn't have. I know you reversed it 3 hours later, but for 3 hours, everyone was pissed. So we didn't do number 1 and we didn't do number 3. We were afraid of doing number 2, best longer-term interest of the company, but we have a sellable loan. So I was very direct on this conversation. And I had that conversation again today because that's not okay with me. There's enough issues in the industry without causing more. So that's a story that illustrates this podcast. Clear is kind. Robyn, give me an example or some explanations around this because I think it's a great topic.
Yeah, I think, clear as kind is something that I like to use in life in general all over the place where when people are confused, it's often because that's what leads to frustration, blame, different emotions that generally come in a negative way. And when people are clear, they might not be happy about it, but there is an understanding, maybe a sense of self awareness, and oftentimes it's followed by love, right? Somebody feels really taken care of, if you will, when they know exactly what to expect and why what's happening is happening, all of those things. And I think it's more important than ever before as leaders that we are clear with our people. We're in a different environment than these last couple of years. And these last couple of years were, everybody wanted to get into the mortgage business. A bunch of people got in, a bunch of other people, just was able to relish, if you will, in their databases and do all this great stuff. And we were begging employees to come on board and help us because everybody's working ungodly hours and doing all these things. And all of a sudden, we're in a turning point where, rates went up, the market is slowing, and a lot of these guys, they're not really trained super well, or they've lost their training. They've lost their training, right? They've lost their good habits. It's like literally having a pro athlete that was injured for 2 years and all of a sudden putting them back on the field and expecting them to do the same thing. And not going to happen, right? They got to get back to the basics and get their training done. But when we're not clear as leaders about what needs to happen, and not only clear, but being willing to follow up. I always attribute this to, as human beings, when you were little, Jimmie, I bet this is you. Something tells me you were a naughty kid in some way, shape, or form.
Come on now.
So let's say that your mom and dad said, go clean your room.
I'm not a bad boy, but I'm a good man.
Yeah, that's right. Go clean your room. Were you cleaning it?
I cleaned my room, but I didn't practice the trumpet. I recorded
Okay, so
myself.
if you knew they were never checking the room and whether or not it was clean, were you cleaning your room?
I was stuffing it all in the
You
closet.
were stuffing it, right? Until they got smart enough to check the drawers in the closet, right? Like,
My
and
mom dumped all my clothes in the hallway, all of them, every single, even the ones that were folded. She pulled them all out and put all the bedding off and put it all in the closet.
yes,
I mean, all in the hallway. I had to fold it all and put it all away myself. I
and
remember.
do it all. But that taught you something, right? And I guarantee you, the next time they said clean your room, you didn't stuff because you knew she might come in there and make a bigger mess, right?
She found my spot for sure.
Yeah. So I really believe that being clear and direct and firm with people and them understanding and showing that it's also that's a lesson, right? That you learn, hey, you can't stuff stuff and hide stuff when someone gives you directions. That's a silly little metaphor in the kids space. But as grown-ups, all of a sudden we're dealing with salespeople who think they're entrepreneurial. So hey, I can roll into the office at 10 a.m. or I can, duck out at 3 p.m. My leads are down, but I'll be fine. I'm all these things instead of you literally pausing and saying, hey, I'm concerned. I'm worried about you and I need you to up your accountability. What can we do to make sure that you are visible to me and that you are going to be successful? Because if I let you hide, I'm not helping you. Right. And so I think that there's a lot of circumstances like that where for us, we have a bunch of MLAs. I call them little gremlins sometimes. We are literally very clear in the metrics that they have to meet every single day so that they know if we were to go and all of a sudden reprimand or even have to let one of them go, they know up front, I didn't get the job done because I was so clear on the job that needed to be done. Right.
That's what it is, the clarity.
The clarity is there. And so I think and I don't think people do a great job of that. I think they do, but I don't think people do as good of a job as what they need to.
Yeah, so I did my sales meeting today, right? So I stopped my sales meeting. We started with there's some stuff going on in the market right now with margins and loan level price adjustments that are kind of a pain. So we talked about those. And then I just went through and I said to each one of my loan officers, I have 22 loan officers, how many loans you closing in April? Because it's April 28th. And how many loans are you closing in May? And what's your very best sales tactic that's working? So we went through and I got to a new loan officer who's closing one loan and then zero. And so I said, listen, I'm going to say this to all of you because some of you are re-engaging in your careers and some of you are starting off your careers. So get a pen. Your job is 6 open houses on the weekend, 6 real estate offices every week, the same 6 boutique offices, visit them in person every week. Call 40 realtors every Monday. Attend or hold a lunch and learn every week. Attend or hold a happy hour every week. Join 2 organizations like the Women's Council of Realtors or the Latino Chamber of Commerce or the Old Man Do Mortgages Committee. That's the one I would join, right? And you too, Todd, with your gray hair, right? Join 2 and be either the treasurer or the secretary. That's your job. And if you're telling me that you're doing all that and you're only closing 0 or 1 loans, I'm telling you out loud, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe you that you're working 40 hours a week. I don't believe you. So my advice is this. If you're going to take a vacation, take a vacation. Other than that, come to work. That's it. And that's what I said, word for word. And I got 2 of them got on my calendar, want to come meet me. It's time to figure out whether you're in for this business or not. It's time.
Yeah. So, sometimes I had people can say, or I've said, hey, be clear, direct, and firm. Always put it in writing. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So all these, a lot of people are afraid to put things in writing. That is part of this. So because when you put something in writing, such as an email, said, hey, we're not going to close on this date. We are closing on this date. If you can't put stuff in writing, people can always say, you didn't say that. You'd be like, I'm sure I said that, right?
Yep.
So always put it in writing. That's a tip. Robyn, give me an example. You have lots. I think we all have lots of them. But give me an example of something you've dealt with in this last week where you had to be clear to someone in which I don't know if it's I'm not always kind. Sometimes I struggle with that. Like I can get pretty threatening. And I've learned to calm down a little bit. I think that's part of this, but give us an example of where you were clear, hey, this is a no-go zone, or you got to do this better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is, I mean, there's multiple examples, I think, every single day. So on the spot, I'll tell you one, and then I'll tell you a brief story on a different one that was from the past. We had a file that was actually red lit a couple times, and it was a jumbo that was in jeopardy of closing, and some things weren't there. And I went to the upfront team and had a conversation about items needed and following the matrices and the guidelines, right, appropriately, because they clearly skipped steps, right? We talk about not skipping steps. Generally, when things are really clear and laid out the right way, you can go find something that says you should have known this, right? This is where this can be referenced, like you said, to put in writing. And so having that conversation with, you will get this 100% of the time moving forward. One of the things that I always like to do, and Jimmie, you taught me this, is an employee either has three reasons, one of my favorite things to teach on, that they don't get something done. Three things. Do you remember this, Jimmie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, this is my stuff. So I'm gonna steal it from Jimmie real quick. They either do not know how, in which case you have a training issue. They do not have time, in which you have a capacity issue. So you need to help them with, time management, prioritization, all of those things. Both of those things you can show beautiful leadership in. And I think, Todd, this is part of how I stay calm in these moments, as I literally am processing this litmus test, if you will, with the employee, and I'm even asking them to participate in it. Did you not know how? Did you not have time? And the very last one that scares me to death is you didn't want to. And if you don't want to, we have a problem, right? And if I can fix the time issue, because that should be fixable, if I can fix the training issue, that should be fixable. The only thing left to fix is themselves, right? They have to be clear on that. And so I coach and teach from this. I actually share that exact rundown with our branch. We probably coach on that 3-4 times a year in one of our morning meetings, and go through it with everybody so that everybody's up to speed, understands their expectations. And more than anything, Todd, it's because I don't want people to give me excuses. Right? I don't want reasons and excuses. I want a lot of accountability around what's going on, and then them feeling supported that will help them fix the first two. The last one, I can't help them fix. They got to decide if they want to be here. And so I had a loan manager that didn't do a Tuesday update, and it's a non-negotiable. And the first time she didn't do it, I was like, hey, that's a non-negotiable. And she didn't know. She was new, and we didn't have our non-negotiables in writing. So that was my fault. So I owned it immediately. I said, hey, they're not in writing. That's on me. Going forward, just so you know, non-negotiable. Said, okay, got it. The second time it happened, no Tuesday update happened. About 2 months later, I was like, hey, now we really have a problem, right? It's a non-negotiable, and you just skipped a non-negotiable. And she comes, stands in front of me, and she says, I'm sorry. I plan on getting them done. I missed 2 at the very end of the day. My dad had surgery, and I had to leave. I promised my mom I would be there to pick her up, and I lost track of time, and I had to get out the door, and I plan on doing them today. And I said, I'm going to own this one more time. I didn't give you a white flag policy. You always have permission to tell us that you can't get the work done if it's appropriate, and we will do it for you. But in my business, I have to make sure it happens if it's a non-negotiable. So I'll take ownership of that part. Now, the white flag policy, there will be no gifts around this. And she said, okay. And I said, let me be clear. If it happens again, you will no longer work for me. Now, she still works for me for this day. She's never missed a Tuesday update again. And she and I are great friends. And she says, I'm being egotistical for a minute, that I'm the best leader that she's ever had. Now, in that moment, I told her she was going to lose her job. If you're listening to this, I want you to question how often somebody is actually, you've had that clear of a conversation, and then it's turned into a beautiful relationship, or you're not even willing to have that conversation. You hide from it, and then you say, I don't think it's working out, and I want to find a way to get rid of this employee, versus actually helping.
That's what they all do, Robyn, and you know it. That's what everybody, like I would say 80, I don't even know a percentage, loan officers that I coach and manage and have worked with over the 25 years, they don't want to deal with having to hire someone new, so they tolerate the person they have. And the truth is, the person they have is no good because they're just not that great of a leader for most of it. I'm always like, oh, my loan partner's not that good. I'm like, do they show up to work on time? Oh, yeah. They take long breaks and hide? Oh, no. They get complaints on the phone? No, no. Oh, it's your problem then, bro. Is it right?
I want
Like
to
the
take
other
a
thing I'll
different
add on that
step.
real quick, Todd, is this. Todd taught me this. In addition to everything you said, Robyn, when you're talking to people, you have to let them know that 20% of their job, they're just not going to love. If they can love 80% of their job and there's 20% they don't like, but they can get it done, that's about as good as it gets.
Ooh, I'm going to write that down.
I'm telling you, I've been in the grocery store. They all thought they were stressed out stacking cans. I'm telling you, every job, there's 20% that they don't like. I don't know if it's washing the truck for firemen. I don't know what it is that they don't like, but there's 20% they can't stand. It's the same thing in the mortgage business. People's like, man, I hate doing Tuesday updates. Yeah, it's 3 or 4 hours on Tuesday in the morning out of 40, 45 hours. It's less than 10%.
Isn't that everything in life? I actually love that analogy for everything in life. Marriage, like family,
Dude,
friendship,
don't
like
even get me
everything.
started. Don't even, therapist said people are in marriage and they have 80% of what they want, but they focus on the 20% they don't have and mess it all up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they go to the next one and go, oops.
So I'll take this to personal because I think it's important to. This is about communication in business, but it's communication in life. So I'm talking to actually Jim will get this story. I have a childhood best friend from 8th grade, and he's a retired police officer, SWAT officer, chief, and he's I was thinking of him this morning, so I just called him this morning to say hi. Talk to him a couple times a month, and I was down to see him. He lives out of town. I was down to see him about 2 months ago, and I got to see this girl that he's in love with. And we get on all kinds of topics, and then he says, "Well, yeah, this girl this and this girl that." And I said, "Hey, bud, can I be real with you?" He's all, "Yeah, of course." I'm very direct with him. It's our relationship, and I said, "She does not love you."
Whoa.
And I just shut up. And because what he was talking about, well, she doesn't give me time. She won't introduce me to the children. They've been dating for 3 years. I'm like, she is not in romantic love with you. That's the problem. So I said, I'm willing to be wrong, but you should probably have that discussion. So he texted me a couple hours ago and he's all, hey, you kind of rocked my world this morning, but I've set a time to have the discussion tonight. I said, well, let me know how it goes. I said, he says, what do I say? I said, be honest and clear, which is what we're talking about. It's okay to say, I'm frustrated. It's okay to say, hey, this behavior was wrong. Think of your children, because I think that's a great analogy. My daughter made a little mistake this morning. She told me that she was not going to get dressed she does homeschool. She doesn't have to really get dressed, but I didn't like her doing homework in her pajamas because her school lady was coming over, and I said, hey, go change from your night clothes and get dressed now that you've had breakfast. And she told me no. I was pretty clear in the moment. No, I didn't. I didn't f-bomb her. I didn't do anything inappropriate, but I made it crystal clear that you are going to do what I just asked and not say another word. Now, do people need that? Well, Todd, children need that. She's 11.
Yes. I was going to say,
So do
welcome to
adults.
11-year-old girls. You've got about 5 years of pain coming.
Oh, leadership. Hey, leadership is parenting. I don't care what you say. When you manage loan officers, you're parenting them. Praise the good things, fix the bad things.
It isn't parenting love, right?
Yeah.
Isn't parenting love? Like that's
only
the
two
truth.
things, right? Two emotions, love and fear, right?
Yep. It's Todd, what you just did for your friend, and I know we got to wrap up, but what you just did for your friend, I was talking to my mom the other day, and we're worried about a family member, and my family has a habit of this, and that's to not be confrontational. And one of the things that you taught me was, and I've changed the word from confrontation in my head whenever I think that or feel that, I always think it's collaboration instead. I always switch the word from confrontation to collaboration because it helps me love it. And so one of the things my mom had said to me, and I realized this can get ingrained in us, you guys, right? We learn these behaviors from early on generally. And one of the things that she did was I said, gosh, I'm just worried. I'm worried about 10 years. She said, oh, me too. And I said, well, and she said, but I can't say anything. And for the first time ever, I stopped and I said, don't say that. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, say you won't say anything. Say it's not comfortable to say anything. Say you're choosing not to say anything. But don't you dare tell me you can't, because you could if you really wanted to. But you don't want to, and that's okay. We have to take more extreme ownership of our words, of our actions, and being willing to tell people the truth at the risk of not how they would react, but at the risk of knowing that your heart's in the right place to get the result that you want.
Man, you're giving me shivers over here. So guys, really good topic. I love this topic. I call it living a clean life. I call it living a productive life. I don't think things happen through osmosis, right? That's why you set goals, and that's why you're clear in your direction. That's why you put things in writing. It's not being a mongrel. It's not being an ogre. It's not being grumpy. I don't feel that way. I don't think Jim and Robyn feel that way very often. It's about being a leader, and it's about being clear so that you guys can collaborate together and make great things happen, whether it's personal life or business life. It's the same thing. Okay. So guys, remember, we are a mortgage company. So if you're a branch manager and you're thinking, hey, maybe I should check this company out, email us, call us. We will be happy to talk to you. We don't add a lot of people in our company, but we love the really, really, really juicy ones, the really, really good ones. So feel free to always reach out. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Robyn. Appreciate you guys.